All right, so this is the, today is Monday, April 26th, 2001. This is the meeting of the Westford Recreation Commission. It is being recorded by Westford Media Center, and it will be broadcast later on their YouTube channel. It is not being live broadcasted tonight. The first agenda item is public comment. Connor, I don't see anyone. Do we have any public comment?
At this time, we do not have anybody in attendance in the attendees.
Okay. And then we move on to the agenda. And before we vote on the consent agenda, does anyone have an item they want to add or remove from the agenda? Okay, so hearing none, does anyone want to make a motion to approve the consent agenda? I mean, I could.
I motion.
Okay. Sheila motions. Anyone second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, Mitch.
Mitch will second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, everyone voted in favor, so no one's not in favor, so the consent agenda is approved. So the first item is approval of the minutes from March 15th. Does anyone have any comments or changes for the minutes, or do we want to just vote to approve them?
When you say discuss them, like I have questions about whether we followed up on a couple of things, so that's not.
Oh yeah, that could be.
We can do that later.
Yeah. All right. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Paul. And second? I guess I'll second.
Okay.
Why not? All in favor? Aye. Okay, we have 5 in favor. I'm not even going to ask for opposed. So the minutes have been approved. And then the March monthly report, Rich, is the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
That is, let's see what page that is on the. That is page 5, it looks
Page
like.
5, yep.
Hmm.
All right, so let's see. We're making very good progress with summer hiring.
Great.
Yep. So, and you know, what's interesting is, I mean, this is the end of April, but these minutes are for March. So there's a lot more that I could talk about in terms of where we are so we recently hired a senior supervisor and our healthcare supervisor were the 2 key roles. So we're very excited, and I can tell you they're both very strong. I sat in on both of those interviews, and along with Joe and our camp director, who was Dustin Hunter. So we have 2 very good, solid leaders for this summer to add to the existing team that we had to sort of fill the spots that we needed to fill. As of March, we had put out a job offer to replace Brian as the aquatic specialist, and I can tell you that job was accepted, and he started today. Actually, was his first day.
Oh, good.
Yep. So that's good news. So we've got that spot filled.
Excellent.
Yeah. So March was the end of our winter programming, and next meeting I'll show you the statistics. It was all things considered, a very good winter for us, although the numbers were way down relative to years past, in part because we didn't have any space to run indoor programming, and because COVID, we could only run the program so small. But you know, we did offer a lot of new programming, and you know, the programs that we're able to offer were well received. So you know, victory and sometimes comes in small doses, right? So March, perhaps the biggest thing that was going on in March were the registrations. We had our spring registration on March 5th, and then the weekend after that, we had our summer registration, and both of those events were very, very successful. Spring, right now, we're sitting up over 15, close to 1,600 registrations for non-aquatics and aquatics programming combined. it's like 1,150 and 450. So, and normally we do like 900. So massive growth in our spring programming. So that was a very successful spring registration. And now that those programs have started in April, and then our summer numbers are equally as good. Not in terms of growth, but relative to 2 years ago, our numbers of registrations are equivalent to where we were 2 years ago, and 2 years was a record year. So
Wow.
big
Excellent.
month of registrations for both spring and summer. And the number of people that will be servicing between the two seasons will be easily close to 5,000, if not more. And that doesn't include our daily lap swimmers. When we add those in, the numbers go even. I'm talking programming numbers, which is just great. And thankfully, from a financial perspective, it has replenished the revolving fund, which took a big hit last summer with the numbers that we had. So, so that's all good.
Excellent.
Let's see. I'm going to talk about some of these other things. So we had, again, I can give you updates beyond this. Some of them I'm going to give a little bit later, so I'll skip them. We, in March, I had scheduled the annual playground inspections. Those were completed this week in April, or this past week. And there were a couple of significant things that needed to be taken care of right away, which I've been working with DPW. One is done, one we're waiting for Eversource on. And I'm still waiting to get the formal report, but the inspector said that School Street's going to need some significant replacement of some of the pieces. So once I get that report, I got to work with the company that we buy the equipment from to get quotes and start to figure out what we're going to need there. So I'll give you more details on that as I get it. It's literally, this is just a day or two old, and I still don't have all the details myself, but that is coming down the pike.
And is that solely from recreation? Like there's no school?
Well, the School Street is a town playground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that would be town money. In the past, we've got donations, I understand.
Yeah.
So I'll look to see if there's ways that we can get
Community
donations.
chest or young women's club. Or...
Right. So I'll have to look at that. I want to start by understanding what the scope of it is, of course, and before I start asking for money. And then, of course, we have the field account for, for those type of things as well in the revolving fund. So, all right. So the tennis nets were installed at the high school. So on the warm days, they are fully operational over there. And we've ordered 2 new lacrosse nets. So
and pickleball lines were scheduled?
Yeah, the pickleball lines are scheduled, and I'll give you a full update on that when we get to later on in the agenda.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
All right, so I'm back to the agenda. Sorry, I'm just scrolling here.
Go ahead.
Did anyone have any questions on the report?
Hi, this is Paul. So Rich, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's a lot of people going in and out. I'm just wondering if by next meeting, is it customary for us to see an org chart? It seems like we're getting a little bit bigger.
That.
It'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
See who is, and also include like any open positions that are not filled yet, so we have an idea of who they are.
Good idea.
And I know I'm asking a lot, but I can tell you, I could walk by, anybody on the team, on your team now, and not know who they are.
So that's a great point, Paul. I'm happy to do it.
So yeah,
and as we get a little bit further into this discussion and a little bit later, it's even going to be changing some more, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So yeah, that's a great idea, and I'll talk to our newest guy and Matt Backus is his name, and maybe I'll have him dial in next week just so you can see his face and meet him.
Sure. And I know it's corny to some folks, but I do it for the folks who are reporting to me. I've got about 20 of them at Mass General, and when they're around and they're making the rounds. I forward the org chart, and every org chart has a picture of the person. And I know that's probably, I don't know if that's a confidentiality issue that you might have, but it's also good. It's always good to see a picture. I don't know what people think about that, whether it would infringe on their privacy rights. I don't know, but if it's something that, could also be done, that would be
We
great
can
too.
submit our pictures.
We could do the same as well. I mean, look at Sheila. Sheila's saying, no, I
Take a
can see
screenshot
you.
of this. Everyone smile.
I know, but I'm just,
I
it's just
all I
anything.
can remember is Sheila when that thing was posted
Oh
on
God, yeah. Your
Facebook a few
comment.
months ago, and you were not happy with that picture, Sheila. I laughed so hard at your
Yeah.
comment.
Your comment made me laugh too.
It was hilarious.
Anyway, so it's just something to consider, and I understand that they don't want to go through the picture part, but like I said, I could walk by, I can know their names and not even know who they are.
Yep, love it.
Be
I
nice
like
to
the
see.
idea, Paul,
Yeah.
and happy to do that. And like I said, I'll talk to Matt and see if we can't get him to join, just so he can say hi.
Yeah.
And you can say hi to him, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. That's great.
Good idea.
Thanks.
All right. Commission member reports. We don't have Elizabeth on town signage, but Rich, before we started, you were saying she sent you an email.
Yeah,
Just before the meeting?
She's away traveling and wasn't sure if she was going to make it tonight. But I had as you know, she and I were sort of working on a subcommittee to come up with the signage for the tennis courts, and I included in the package tonight on page 6 and I think page 7, if I'm not mistaken, and sort of what the current on the top of it, on top of page 6, what the current signs read. And then I also included what Elizabeth had suggested. And then after reviewing what we had versus what Elizabeth had suggested, and after consulting with Chris Coleman, I put together what is at the bottom of page 7, our recommended new sign. And it's very, very similar to both. All 3 of these options are very similar. I will point out that the biggest difference between Elizabeth's recommendation and the one that we put forth from the department is that there is no statement about Westwood residents only, or like priority for Westwood residents or whatnot. And I had already explained that to a few meetings ago. I had talked to Chris about this, and our feeling was that that was not enforceable and not appropriate to put on the sign. So after
Yeah, I know
reviewing
Chris
this,
mentioned that to me as well.
Yeah, Elizabeth,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ann, I didn't
Chris
catch that.
mentioned that to me as well, that he didn't like the Westwood residents only. He didn't think that was enforceable.
Yeah. So Elizabeth did, after reviewing this package, did indicate that she was comfortable with the rec department recommendation. Okay.
So that's on page 7.
Correct.
Okay.
So Mitch, I keep saying Mitch. I'm sorry. I see Mitch
They
because Mitch is right in
rhyme.
front of me. So Rich, I see, I went through this real quickly. Obviously we got it today, but courts are for tennis only. So that is not necessarily the truth. Now that we have pickleball. So we have to take a look at those rules.
Good catch.
At wherever, at the Hanlon. So the Hanlon sign will have to be different.
Downey, I think.
Downey,
Yep,
I'm sorry,
at
at
the
the Downey. Thank you. So the Downey sign will have to be different than
Yep.
everywhere else.
Good catch.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's a great point.
Sheila, you're muted.
So if someone at the high school decides they want to play pickleball just to pick up and no lines, they're not allowed to do that at the high school. Is that what I'm hearing?
Huh.
I don't think that they would, because the net's different, the lines are different. I went down there today because they were just, and so we're sort of getting into this. The lines were literally just painted at the end of last week, and I went down there today to take some pictures in hopes that I could show you guys tonight. But the Downey kids were on the courts when I went down there, so I wasn't able to get a picture of them. But it's the court is remarkably small, and so.
But it's standard size, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But when you look at it compared to a tennis court, they're puny.
Yeah.
And I've seen it on YouTube. When I started learning about pickleball, I watched games on YouTube, but without the context or without the scale of like a tennis court, you just don't realize how small the court is until you see it.
Okay.
So I just don't see how they'd be able to play with without the lines, and they'd have to put up their own net. It's much shorter and narrower and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay. So should we vote, do a motion to approve this?
I think
Or it's
so.
already approved? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so we should make a motion to approve it with the revision for the, sorry, my answering machine's going off in the background. With a revision for the Downey School so that it's for tennis or pickleball.
Right.
Do we have enough for a quorum to be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Rich counts.
good, perfect.
All right, so
wait a minute, I have one question on that, and I didn't see it, but did we have anything about like reservations or anything like that on that sign? Is there anything?
yeah, there is
Yep.
something.
I'm sorry.
It's look at number 8, Paul, below number 8.
Below that for questions or concerns. Okay, great. All right, I have
Yep.
to look at my little.
Yeah,
phone
and then
there.
there's number 3 talks about no private instructors, classes, or leagues allowed without a permit as well.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
All right, so I will make a motion then to approve the signage, the rec department recommendation with the revision to number 2 for the Downey courts, so that says courts are for tennis or pickleball, tennis and pickleball only.
Yep.
All right, does anyone want to second the motion?
Sure, I'll second it.
Paul second, and all in favor? Aye.
Good. Yeah,
Rich, you're in favor?
absolutely.
Okay, so no opposed. All right, let me go back to the agenda now. Netting around the baseball field is the next item, and that was a commission member. Was that Paul, were you? Who was following up on that?
So I was.
You were, Rich.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
and I can tell you that I did not touch this one this month with everything else going on. I do have a call after meeting with the last meeting that we had. I gave you the update that I had met with the AD over at Zavarian, and he gave me a company that he worked with to get their netting put up. I did reach out to them. I talked to them. He said he was going to get back to me with a quote or some ideas, whatever. He never has. And the guy at the AD at Zavarian did tell me that they like the big jobs, and he may or may not want to take this. So I think after
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to hear back from him. So I've got to find another company.
Yep.
I just was not able to find 2 minutes to do that this month. So that's on me, and I will look for another company to try to talk to see if we can't get some kind of idea of what it's going to cost.
Okay.
Great.
So I'm gonna move it to next month.
Yes, please.
Okay. Is
And
next
then-
month practical, or should I move it to 2 months?
Well, I'm gonna do my best, Sheila, and if it's the same situation, but
We'll move it again.
I've actually moved a lot of things over the past week, so I'm hoping, but you'll hear
Okay.
from some more updates that there are other things going to take precedence. So, but I'll do
Okay.
my best.
Now, okay, so agenda item number 5, director /staff reports.
Okay.
So town meeting date. Oh, that's Monday, huh? May
Yeah.
3rd. So that's when our capital improvement will be presented.
That's right. And so these are things that you've already actually now for a couple of years now looked at and approved and all. I just put them in here just to remind you of what is going on and what we're going to be voting on at town meeting next week that affects recreation. There are 2 pool projects. There's the pool deck replacement, and then there's the pool drainage and refurbing of the, I'll call it the plumbing. It's all the mechanical parts of the pool, the pumps, the filters, etc. And the pool deck is almost 50 years old, and a lot of the mechanicals, that are on a 10-year schedule, were on 15 years, so that needs to be done. So again, like I said, these should not be new or surprise or new to you. That they were actually going to get voted on last year, but they had to be taken off because they changed the quorum. If you recall, because of COVID, they changed the town meeting rules, and these had to be pulled out. Actually, no, pardon me, I misstated on that. There was another. This was combined with another part of a warrant that the FinCom didn't approve, so they pulled the whole warrant out of. So these ones got pulled. Nothing to do with these ones. It had to do with, if you recall, there was debate about lighting the Thurston Fields, and that the FinCom didn't support that. So they pulled that out, and these got pulled with it. So they got put in this year. All right. So I don't, unless somebody wants to, talk further about this, it really was just an FYI to remind you. That's what we're going to be voting on at town meeting that affects recreation.
So we should probably, hopefully, we get everybody from the commission there to cheer this on and help champion this effort.
Yep, we want these, definitely. I mean, the pool deck is 50 years old. So.
There's 5 votes right here sitting at this meeting. So
absolutely, yeah. So, okay. So the next item I put in this month was the stats report. I finally got a chance to do the stats report for the fall season, which to refresh your memory ends on December 31st. Okay, and so on page here. So that is on page
13.
10.
Oh.
Page 10, 11, and 12 is the fall. Okay, and it's probably easiest. I mean, feel free to look at all the detail at your leisure, but it's probably easiest to look at page 12, which is just the summary. Okay, and for general recreation, it was our profit was basically flat, which again, you're comparing a COVID year to a normal year. So the fall was actually quite successful. Okay. Aquatics, similar story. Actually, we were up. And that's a little bit of an accounting thing because swim team was normally in the winter and we didn't have swim team this year. But what Sue did was she had that condition swim plus, and she was running that program on a monthly basis through the fall and the winter. So she picked up a lot of participation, a lot of revenue in that.
Let's say.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, for the winter, we were up again, by $7,000 in profit, that's a COVID year over a normal year. So that's really good performance for the fall months. Does anybody have any questions about that? No. Okay, so if you go to pages 13, 14, and 15, this is the year to date. So this would be the combination of both the summer and the fall months. So it's year to date, fiscal year to date, of course, from July 1st to December 31st. And again, to keep it simple, I would focus on page 15. And if you have any question about the detail, you can look at pages 13 and 14. And this will just be an extension of what we saw last summer, that we had a significant decrease in revenue and profit and everything because our numbers were 60% down compared to the year prior because of COVID, right? So when you look at the year-to-date numbers, all you need to do is think COVID. We made a bit of a recovery in the fall, but not nearly enough because, 75% of our revenue comes in the summer, right?
Yeah. So we'll make some up this summer, hopefully.
Well, yeah, in fact, and again, just giving you very high level numbers, if I'm looking at where we were 2 years ago for the revolving fund balances to where we are now, we're almost back to the same place.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so the spring this year is double. I mean, so that the spring is really helping this year's fiscal performance. And of course, that's what's a little bit weird is we get all the revenue for the summer in this fiscal year, but it really counts for next fiscal year. And because we collect the money in March, but the fiscal year starts in July. So all the camp expenses and all the programs for the summer actually are in the next fiscal year. So, but if you look at, I do an analysis that compares each month where we are with the total balances for the revolving fund. And we had some, significant decreases last year, but it's back to where it was 2 years ago. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so that's great news. And we just got to hope that, obviously we're seeing a lot of participation, a lot of enthusiasm about our programming. And we just have to hope that we don't get any surges and see any fallbacks like we did, because we saw a lot of withdrawals last year in May and June. So if we can get, if we can deliver on the program where we are right now, we'll be in good shape again.
Richard, do you anticipate for the summer a full program of whatever it would be 7 or 8 weeks? That you'd be assuming no surge.
Yes, we have 7 weeks of camp planned, and we have weeks 8, 9 for that games galore, where we have it's kind of like a mini camp. But it's only for like 50 kids, not 250. And we have some other programming for weeks 8, 9, and even 1 or 2 in week 10.
Wow.
We have 1 extra week this summer because the way that the calendar works. So we have quite a bit of programming in August as well. And the enrollment's terrific. We still have some spots available, but we're sitting pretty well right now.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Is the 7 weeks camps, there's availability, or they're full too?
There is, with the exception of 1 week. I think it's week 4 where there's very limited availability, but there's still pretty good availability in the other weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe not good.
We changed one thing this year, which I think helped. Rather than register each grade individually, we registered them in groups of 2 grades. So kindergarten and first grade, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then 6, 7, and 8. And that gives us more flexibility where, because you never exactly know what the demand is going to be from grade to grade. And by combining the grades, it gives us a little bit more bandwidth, because we used to do, say, 40 kindergartners and 40 first graders for a total of 80. But if the demand was 60 kindergarten and say 30 first graders, we'd have a bunch of people sitting on a waiting list for the kindergartners. Now they're, we can accommodate them the way we did it.
So do you have any mixed classes by grade that way?
There may be. We actually did that last year as well, when, people, if we had, because of COVID, you could only do groups of 10, and there were, we had to sort of make sure we fit, and somebody would call and say, hey, I want my child to go, but their grade was full. So he said, if you want to go in another grade, you can do that. And a lot of parents took advantage of that. So, so it's given
Whose
us
idea was that, to combine the grades like that?
Well, it was actually an idea that I kicked around a couple of years ago when Nicole was there, and we opted not to do it.
Huh.
And Joe and I were talking about it earlier in the middle of the winter, and trying to figure out how we can maximize, especially because of COVID. You got to be real careful. You want to try to right size your cohorts.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to give this a try, and I think that it made a lot of difference.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a huge change, but it did prevent a lot of wait lists that we otherwise would have had in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure the parents of previously waitlisted kids will appreciate when that doesn't happen again. Yeah.
Yep. So
we did have a few of them come and talk to us about.
Pardon me?
We did have a few parents talk to us a few years ago about wait lists and extra programs.
I worked with Sportsman, the registration company, to change the way that we did that, and that really helped with the wait list. And from one year we went from 150 to like 25, and you know, now we have very few, even less than 25. So we've been steadily making progress on that issue over the past couple of years.
Good.
All right. So a staffing update. We talked about the new aquatic specialist already. So he started today. His name is Matt Backus, and I'll ask him to join next month, assuming that he's available, so you can meet him. All right. The other news is Kelly has turned in her resignation a few weeks ago, and she is going to be taking a similar position in her hometown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's going to be 3 miles away, rather than an hour away. So
guess you can't really compete with that.
It's very hard to, right? And you know, I can tell you personally that working 2 or 3 miles from work is very nice. You know,
I'm working in my home, so
yeah. Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for our business, though. We got to be out in the fields, right?
No.
So yeah, so we're gonna miss her. This is really you know, Kelly was a great addition to the team a couple of years ago, and she's done a lot of good work for us. And we're gonna miss her terribly. And the timing couldn't be worse, of course, either, because we're going into our 2 busiest seasons this spring, and then of course summer.
Yeah.
So we had our first round of interviews last Thursday, and we had like 30 or 40 applications, and out of that I had 12 that we rated like an A, and we've interviewed, and we now are down to 6. So on Wednesday we're going to do the second round of interviews. Okay. And our goal would be to have, and then the following week we'll probably schedule, you know, the final whatever based off of the 6, depending on, you know, how everybody does. And our goal would be after that 3rd round of interviews to have a decision made, and hopefully have them in here by, you know, sometime late May, June 1st at the latest is the timeline. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So bad news there, and even more reason, Paul, to get that org chart updated.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. So for the summer brochure, we've been talking about programming. I just included, just as an FYI, on page 16. This is the preview of the summer brochure cover, just the cover. That's going to the printer on tomorrow. So that'll be in the mail in a couple of weeks, 10 days or so.
Right.
All right. And that will hopefully, once that hits the residents, that will spur sort of that second wave of registrations, you know, for what's remaining. All right. So we're currently, and I'm waiting for Joe to get back anxiously. He'll be back in the office on Wednesday. So he's the one that's sort of planning the fishing derby. So, but right now we're planning on holding the fishing derby this year. He's been in touch with Board of Health, and the director has said that it's okay to do so. And if there's enough space out there for, you know, that we're probably going to do it as a registration thing this year rather than just to show up, just to make sure that we can control the crowd, and that if, you know, God forbid, if we get a 70 degree sunny day and we get, you know, 1,000 people, which of course we never would, but, you know, so we just want to try to control it through registration. So, but I think we're going to be able to pull that off this year, which is great news, because of course, want to try to get back to offering some of those special events, which most of them were canceled last year, you know, and with all the vaccinations that are happening and whatnot, the outdoor events seem to be pretty well received. People feel pretty comfortable about it being outside and whatnot, where you can really spread out and whatnot. So that'll be good. All right. So a couple updates on the fields and facilities. So the pool HVAC, the last time we spoke, I told you that we were waiting for some modifications to be made to the unit and the curb adapter to improve the airflow. That did occur, and the balancer was here just, and again, I'm sort of looking forward into April. The balancer was here a week or so ago, and the modifications were effective. They did achieve the goals that they were trying to reach, and we now have the proper airflow, the proper turns and whatnot. So there's still a couple of minor concerns that we're working through, but we're at the punch list level now. So the major issue with the constricted airflow is now gone. Okay, they fixed that. So that's really good news. So we met with our engineer, who's also our project manager, end of last week, and we had a discussion with him on the punch list items that we felt were out there. He offered his. He's going to work with the contractor, and hopefully we'll meet again later this week to sort of agree what's left, and there's very little. So this should be wrapped up relatively soon, which is great news. And then pickleball. So as you heard me say earlier, the lines were painted at the end of last week. I went out to check them out this morning, and they look good. I have ordered a couple of nets. I know we talked about getting more than that, and I wanted to just get a couple of them in, make sure we use them, and then I'm going to order more. But if for whatever reason, the quality of the ones that we're ordering isn't great, I don't want to buy them all at once. I just want to make sure that they're good, and then we'll be able to start once they arrive. We'll be able to start, giving those out to the public to use.
And so, go ahead, Mitch.
How do we make the public aware of this?
Well, we're going to have to do some kind of a I don't know what the right word is, but an advertising campaign. We'll use social media. We'll eventually get it in our brochures and whatnot.
So say I register to pick up a net, for however many hours during a day. What if the courts are not available during those hours because someone else with a net is using the court? Do we have any?
And same rules. They have an hour,
you can
right?
Rent the courts, I suppose. You can reserve the courts by renting them.
Oh, so you pay a rental fee, then you get the court, and so then you got to kick the person who has the court off. Like, couldn't an individual rent
the same way you permit the fields, Ann?
Yeah. So an individual could rent or permit a pickleball court for an hour.
Sure.
Let's say.
So do we have rates for those?
No. I mean, we have for the tennis courts.
So are we going to use the same rates for the tennis courts as we are for pickleball?
I think so. I guess you're only using half the court, so maybe we'd just make it half. These are the details that haven't been worked through yet.
Yeah, and like if I rent a pickleball court and then Paul comes and wants to play tennis, I have the court for the hour, but two of us could rent the pickleball court.
Yeah, two groups can use the one.
Yeah,
because there's a court on each side of the tennis court.
Yeah.
So there's two pickleball courts over there right now.
So fair enough. So Ann, you just made me think of another thing of say, for example, you're playing pickleball and you got your friends over, you are doing your pickleball stuff, and all of a sudden somebody shows up and says, well, I want to play tennis on that court that you're playing pickleball. You have an hour.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it works.
I have an hour.
Okay,
Yep.
Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, but that's how.
Yeah,
but if I started my hour, say I just showed up, I have a net, I show up and I start playing. 15 minutes in, it's now 2:00, and Paul, you rented the court at 2:00. You kick me off because you have a rental.
Correct.
Has anyone tried? I haven't tried to do this. Has anyone experienced trying to kick someone off one of the courts that was rented?
And so at least as long as I've been here, there's been very, very little rentals of the tennis courts. In fact, almost none. Okay. It's something that we're starting to get a lot of requests for, because The tennis courts are being utilized way more than they were, say, a year,
Mhm.
year and a half ago.
Yes.
Pre-COVID, there's a lot higher demand. You know, we now have a tennis league that Elizabeth is part of and whatnot. And last year we rented the courts out like 2 nights a week to them, but that was pretty much it. And that's the only rentals we've done of the court pretty much since I've been here. And you know, this will be my 4th summer. But we're starting to get some inquiries. We're getting a lot of requests for private tennis lessons, and a lot of requests to reserve the courts. So you know, we don't have a lot of experience right now to sort of use as a basis to sort of understand how that's going to work. We're going to have to work through it.
I'm just looking back at the signage, and it says for questions or concerns or to reserve a court for league play or private instruction.
Yeah.
I wonder if we need another category there.
What
Well,
kind
if you look at the fields policy, there's a thing that for renting courts.
Okay.
I want to say it's like $25 an hour or something, but I don't have it in front of me, and I'd have to look it up. But I think it's 25.
So I guess what you do is you show up with your reservation on your phone or whatever, and you show the people that you reserved, you
Yeah, we
paid
give
for
you
and
a
reserved.
permit, just like the field.
Yeah. Even though you're an individual town member.
Right. Well, no different
Yeah.
than if you permitted the fields and you went and got to the field and someone else was using it, you would need to ask them to leave.
Yep.
It's the
Yep.
same as that concept.
Yeah. I'm just wondering with 2 pickleball courts, how people, and pickleball sounding like it's going to be very popular, how that will work.
Yeah. And you know, if we find that right now we just started with 2 courts, right?
Mhm.
And if we find that the demand is outpacing the supply of those 2 courts, we can talk about, do we strike the other 2 courts, the other court for 2 more courts? I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
advocating for that, but that's something we can discuss. We're going to have to measure the demand based on experience, and we'll just
Right.
you
Right.
know, and right now, where they literally have not, they've been there for 3 days. You know what I mean? And
Right. Right.
and until we have some practical experience at it, we're just it's all speculation at this point. So we're going
Right.
to have to see how it goes and sort of work it through as the issues arise.
And are we going to consider some pickleball programming lessons and that and such?
That's definitely on the docket. Of course, we'll have to. There's a lot of things that need to happen beforehand. First of all, we have to find a coach,
Mhm.
right? So we'll be looking for a coach. We have to hire a program manager, you know, to replace Kelly, because she would have been the one spearheading this.
Okay.
And so, but that's definitely, now that we have these lines, that is part of the plan, is to
Mhm.
offer that. Exactly when we'll be able to pull it off, I don't know.
Right. Right.
You know, because to be completely honest, you know, making all of the programming that we currently have this spring and then going into summer, it's going to be very, very busy. And so trying to
Yeah.
organize that over the next 2 or 3 months will be challenging, but that's not to say it won't happen. It's just we've got a lot on our plate right now.
Okay.
So I just have a
great.
quick comment. So right now we're not taking reservations for tennis courts. Is everything free? Oh no, that's just the lights. I'm sorry, I take that back.
No, it sounds like we can take a reservation for a tennis
I know,
court.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking about lights. I got confused.
Yeah.
So the other issue is, or not issue, but the other thought is, since the Sheehan is not going to be the site of the new school, do we consider repaving that tennis court there? If
Yeah. When
there's
do
an
we
option?
put that back on the plan?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that
Idea.
out there.
Yeah.
It's a good
If we
idea.
have it.
So that is the plan. I've also heard some things that they might be doing something Sheehan eventually as well, as kind of a next step after that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Yeah, good luck. I mean,
Yeah. So
Getting that passed.
Yeah, not right now.
So I think the idea is, once it's definitive that this school thing is going to go through, right? Which, if I'm not mistaken, it still needs to be voted on and approved, right? And once we know that Sheehan will not be touched, then we can move on that site. And so my thought was to work with Chris after those things happen to see, okay, next steps. Of course, it'll be a capital improvement project, which means it will be voted on at town meeting, which won't be till next year at the earliest.
So not to skirt the issue, but if we have, if we get a price to make that court last for 2 years, do some patching. I mean, I was on that court. I just took a look at it about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And I don't know, maybe because I'm used to playing in the street and my old days playing on, on gravel roads. It didn't seem that bad. It is a little tilted, but that's because of, rain drainage and all that sort of fun stuff. But I mean, is there a way of getting through by getting that patched? Take a scrape off a layer and then do it that way. Just something that some asphalt contractor would know, or some tennis court, manufacturer or finisher.
So
would be
put
able to
one
give us a
court
price.
in there temporarily, or two
Well,
courts, whatever.
You could fit 2 in there. I
Yeah.
mean, because it fit a whole tennis court. We're doing 2 now, and you'd have the fence
Yep.
already around it.
Yep.
So it might be worth just getting a price, and maybe we won't have to. If we luck out, maybe we don't have to get capital funding, and maybe we can fund it through our programs. And then we can start growing that business. Because people driving by, seeing it there, and people going out there, and all the cars lined up, that's going to spur a lot of interest if we do. I mean, if we get to that point. And now that's a very common walking path now. You can see.
Yes, it is. It's on my path.
You walk right down Pond Street, go around High Street. Everybody does that loop now. Everybody's
Mhm.
doing that 3 mile or 2.5 mile loop. It's just 30 people a night easily doing that route. So could get us a lot of exposure, but something to think about, Rich. I don't know. I don't want to throw anything more on your docket, but getting price for that might be something of interest. But
well, maybe what I'll do is I'll call Todd and because of course he does a lot of work with the paving companies and whatnot, just to get his opinion as to whether or not that is salvageable and what he has an idea of. He knows what he's paying for road work and whatnot.
Good idea. Yep, that's a good
idea. He might be able to give me a ballpark as to what it would take to put a skim coat of pavement down, or is that even worth it? Is it and then of course it would ultimately be a throwaway because you probably don't want that permanent. But let me start with that and see if that is a quick answer to that.
Sure.
If I have to start getting contractors in there and whatnot, now we're talking time and effort. And again, I'm happy to do it. It's just a matter of right now there's other priorities that are probably a little bit higher than that.
Sure. Yep.
But I'll definitely put it on the list.
Sure. And just
anything the town does is never cheap.
Hi, Bob.
You'd have to put that out to bid. You just can't go in there and slap a coat on there, a finished coat.
Right.
I just have another question. So Rich, when they come in and they order the nets, you're taking a credit card and a deposit for those nets. So when they don't come back, you're charging them.
Well,
So
we haven't worked through those details yet, but so we're going to have to do some kind of a deposit to make sure we get it back and all of that, but yeah, that's what I'm envisioning. We have to work through all the details and proceed, literally put it on a piece of paper and write all the procedures. We haven't done that yet, but that's next steps.
Perfect.
Should that be on the agenda for us to review next meeting, or is that too?
We can if you'd like to. It's kind of an operational thing, and you guys really want to be involved in the operation of how we do it.
Okay.
I mean, I would say you probably don't want to get to that level of minutia. But if you want to, I'm happy to talk it through with you guys, and
No, that's fine.
That's what you're there for, Rich. We'll let you do that one if you don't mind.
You're the minutia guy. We let you do the minutia.
All right. So item 6, other items not reasonably anticipated by the chairman. I know you had some comments, if we had followed up on some things on the minutes, Paul. I don't know if we addressed your.
Yes, I do have two items I'd like to talk about. One of them is I saw that, since tennis is growing, I saw that that Rich, you guys were looking for investigating getting another tennis pro to help fill your demand for tennis lessons. How's that progressing?
Well, I don't have a final answer for you, Paul, but I can tell you that one of the things that we were working through with our existing tennis coach to see if he knew of anyone else that would want to do it, and to, make sure, first of all, that he was comfortable with it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want him walking out the door because we're looking for a second one, but
Right.
no, he's on board. Whether or not has given Kelly any names or not, it's probably been a couple weeks since I last talked to Kelly about it, to be honest. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
that was just a
we've had the
curiosity.
discussions, but I don't think we have any firm. We don't have anything firm in terms of potential candidates.
Right.
And when's Kelly's last day? Sorry,
Friday.
she's working. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Paul, go ahead.
And the last thing, I want to say, Rich, first of all, I can't say enough about it. And I think I'm probably going to be speaking for other people on this call, but what a great job you've been doing filling in for everybody here. And just wondering, and thank you for that, by the way. Seriously, you're doing a great job, right?
Thank you, Paul.
You're very welcome. You deserve it.
Thank you.
But the other one, is there any word on what's going on, or are they, or is it going to continue having you fill in and saving money on the salary?
Yeah, I don't really have any updates for you. Like, what was the last update, Ann? Was it in January when they suspended the search or whatever, and or whatever they described it? They
Candidates
I don't know.
Backed out, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. The search
that
was put on hold.
And it's not like we're suffering here for anything because of, Rich, you
Right.
filled in fabulously. We're not in that. It was just more of a curiosity question.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also doing two jobs though.
I know he is.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
well, I know you've been very supportive of Rich, and I believe you mentioned something to Chris, but I think all of us should give Chris a call and support Rich. Because this is a
Already
political
done.
process, and any help we can give him, I think Rich would appreciate that. So if anybody wants to call Chris Coleman and tell him what a great job Rich is doing, be my guest.
Yep.
Well, thank you all for saying that. I'm not going to comment on that. If that's what you want to do, I'll let
Rich, would you
but
be
I'm not-
interested in becoming the new Nicole?
I did apply for the job. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I'll leave that one alone, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. But I know Chris would appreciate hearing from anybody on the commission.
Absolutely.
Yep.
He did. I
Perfect.
called him already.
Perfect.
Well, if anyone hasn't talked to him, feel free to go ahead.
So that's all I have, but thank you.
All right.
All right. So May 17, it looks like the tentative date for the next meeting. Does that work for people? As far as I know, it works for me.
So May 17th may be an issue for me. I'm not sure. I am on call for a 24-hour overnight at Mass General Hospital. So
Oh, so you don't know till like the last
I won't
minute.
know until I won't know until that Monday, probably till that afternoon. But I can, again, if we have a quorum, I don't need to be there.
How's the 24th? Is the 24th better for everyone?
I don't have anything on either day.
You want to move to 24th?
That would work for me.
Yeah, that's. why
If
don't
it's
we do-
okay with everybody, I don't want to have people move just for me.
Well, Paul, you're special. We'll do whatever you want us to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's not Memorial Day, so let's do it.
Oh, goodness.
Either one works for me, so whichever you guys prefer.
Yeah, let's hit the 24th.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That gives us a few more weeks between meetings too, because this one was on the
Yeah.
later side.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully by then I'll be able to name Kelly's replacement too, which would be a good thing.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Big moon out tonight. Do you see how big it is?
Yeah.
like a
Oh, I
flashlight.
can't, I'll
Yeah.
have to go look.
Moon
Wow.
shadows
That's
tonight.
amazing.
moon
I'm looking
shadows.
at it right now.
know. How cool is that?
Oh, I have to go outside. All right, so does someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:01 PM? It's a record.
This is great.
That
I
motion.
move. Go ahead. And I second it.
Mitch motions, Paul second,
And
all in
Paul second.
favor?
Hi.
Aye. Anyone
Fantastic.
opposed? All right, we'll see everyone on the 24th.
Okay,
All right.
everybody.
Bye,
Okay,
guys.
thank you.
Thank
Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you very much. Bye
Bye.
now.
Bye. Bye.